Welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Education, SOE, Master's Degree Programs, Master of Arts, Distance Education, MADE, First Year. MDE 518 Educational Communication Technologies, Revised. Block 4 Interactive Delivery Methods. Unit 16, Email, Mailing Lists, Discussion Groups, RSS Feed. 16.0 Introduction. The Internet and its World Wide Web, web or WWW for short, have normally been static and non-interactive communication technologies. However, in this block we are going to discuss about interactive delivery methods on the web. In this unit, you will learn about the features of email, mailing lists, discussion forum and RSS feeds as interactive tools in teaching and learning. Interaction between teacher and student have been touted as the most important aspects of teaching and learning, and especially distance education has been criticized due to absence of or poor interaction features. However, with the introduction of more and more interactive elements on the web, distance education can provide high-quality interaction of all the three types identified by Moore, 1994, learner content, learner-learner, and learner-teacher. In Unit 15, you have already studied about the web and how to create pages. You may like to recall and review Unit 15 before working on this unit. 16.1 Learning Outcomes. After working through this unit, you are expected to be able to identify content delivery tools on the web, describe advantages and limitations of different methods and tools, discuss models of teaching and learning using these tools, and use these tools for teaching and learning. 16.2 Electronic Mail. Electronic mail, or in short email, is one of the most popular and useful features of the Internet. By definition, it is mail delivered through electronic means. However, while tracing the development of email communication, Tao and Reinking, 1996, identified at least three definitions of email. 1. It is mail being transmitted electronically. This definition embraces fax and telex. 2. It is only communication through computers but would include graphics as well as texts as appropriate email communication. 3. It is only text being transmitted through computers between senders and receivers. Today, email is primarily known as communication from one person to another or many others through the use of computer and networks. Email addresses have standard three-part format: user ID at host.domain. The user ID is the name identifying the user, at, sign follow account name, and the host of the email account, such as Hotmail, Yahoo or any other web server, and the domain, such as in.org, .com, .net, etc. Some important characteristics of email are as follows. It is text-based and requires literacy skills. Language is the major means by which the email communication is done. A mail once typed can be sent to multiple persons, locations without duplicating efforts. It is asynchronous in nature and can overcome problems posed by geographical time zones. Messages sent and received as email can be stored and organized in a way that can facilitate easy retrieval. It is a cost and time-saving technology. It also reduces the use of paper. Environmental friendly. 16.2.1 Educational use of email. It is the use of email that makes e-learning possible. In most e-learning program, the basic need is to have an email account. Sometimes, a whole course is offered through email as well. So, the use of email is enormous in education. Primarily, email has two main applications in education: in research and in teaching. Email is used as a research tool and also as a carrier of research tools, such as questionnaire and interview schedule. However, in the instructional settings, email is used for communication and interaction between student and students, and student and teachers. Email provides the advantage of speed, and information and announcements about a schedule, reschedule of classes can reach the learners before they travel to the classroom, study center. Learners with special needs, hearing impaired, can interact with the teachers using email, while visually impaired students can use email with other text-to-speech readers. In a conventional classroom, a student may feel intimidated to talk and raise questions, doubts, but can Choose to interact through email. Email can be used for delivering of lessons, and teachers can develop email groups to discuss topics related to the curriculum. Dorman, 1998. Kremeski, 2002, reported that email conversation was useful in construction and interpretation of graphs using Excel, and it enriched mathematical discourse. Kim, 2008, through a review of literature identified the following advantages of email use that contributes to academic achievement, enabling immediate, frequent support for individual needs, learner-centered context, individualized instruction, exchange of resources and information, fostering psychological comfort, intimacy, expression of personal ideas, opinions, and emotions, informal conversations, social content, exchanges, interpersonal contexts, building interpersonal skills, collegiality, awareness of others' attitude, insights into others' perspectives, close relationships, developing thoughtfulness, cognitive task structuring, careful analysis, critical thinking, reflection, planning, encouraging interest, enthusiasm, motivation, self-esteem, self-confidence, change in personal values, active participation, permitting authentic but convenient context, gap reduction between knowledge and practice, real-world anxiety decrease. 16.2.2 Using email. While it is almost redundant here to talk of the technology of email, as it is almost pervasive in higher education institutions. Nevertheless, you need to have an email account to teach, and your students should have email accounts to take advantage of this technology. Either you can use the free web-based email services that provide abundant space these days, or you can have a client-based email system in your institution that may use mail delivery software like the Eudora, Outlook, and others. However, it is most important to consider the pedagogic issues related to use of email in teaching learning. In this context, we proffer the following guidelines. Analyze the individual and group needs, especially in the context of cognitive and no cognitive support. Consider the skill level of your target group and their familiarity with the use of email. Provide a short hands-on training and/or distribute a short printed guide for ready reference. Indicate email response time from the perspective of both the student and the teacher in the beginning of the course. Plan and develop templates for routine kinds of queries for use during the teaching process. Consider a theoretical foundation for your teaching approach by using various models available. One such model that could be effectively uses is Keller's ARCS model. Attention-enhancing mail can be sent in the beginning of the course, and when required to stimulate a sense of inquiry and curiosity in the student. Message that relate the content of the study to the learner's present, future needs can be categorized as relevance-enhancing message. Confidence-enhanced messages are utilized to convince the learners that after carefully reading and undertaking the tasks, they would be able to achieve their goals. Satisfaction-related mails provide information on what the students would get after accepting and using the strategies given to them. So, while using mail to provide instructions, you need to consider the purpose and use appropriate language to that effect. It is also important to be precise, without being too lengthy. You may avoid non-relevant message to the learners, but you should check regularly about learners' progress through mail, phone. Reply to students' mail as quick as possible, but should not be delayed more than the promised time in the beginning of the course. Provide working web links in your mail. While using email as a discussion forum amongst the students on a specific topic, summarize the discussion every day per week per month. You may assign this task to specific student volunteers during the course. Consider giving weight to their involvement in such discussion in the final grade, credits. Ask students to submit assignments on due date. Give sufficient alerts before the due date. Let them know the consequence of non-submission of assignments on time. Consider personal emails received from students as private, and do not share these with the group unless otherwise stated by the writer. Reply to emails carefully and not in haste. Do a spell check before pushing the send button. Never promote spam, junk mail or chain mail forwarding amongst students. Teachers ask students to use appropriate etiquette associated with the email. Use of capital letter in email is considered to be rude. 16.3 Mailing lists. So long as email remains a major form of communication, mailing lists will provide a convenient means of message distribution. Mailing lists go by various names such as discussion lists or email forums, which give a clearer idea of their nature or purpose. The providers of free mailing lists such as Google and Yahoo call them groups, which emphasize their role in maintaining topic-based communities, are one of the earliest forms of ICT or communication through the internet. Mailing lists have also proven abidingly useful for educational purposes, including for information sharing and professional development among educators. Easy interfaces between email and the web have meant that the typical mailing list message links to a new entry on the vast www that is relevant to the list topic and expected to be of interest to list subscribers. Mailing lists offer many flexible options depending on the needs of the user. Messages can be exchanged through email client programs, through a web interface, or most recently from handheld devices such as mobile phones that have an internet connection. The convenience of email in most ways applies to lists as well, such as automatically forwarding messages. The ultimate convenience of email or mailing lists lies in the fact that messages are pushed to the user automatically and effortlessly. Blogs and social networking sites purportedly superseding mailing lists have suffered from the drawback that the user must go to the websites and pull the information from them. One may visit a website only to find nothing new, which discourages one from returning to check again. RSS feeds have come along, partly to fill this need of a preview of contents available, more on this later. On the other hand, the very convenience and immediacy of email tends to present the mailing list subscriber with information overload, although the unending problem of spam has seemed to affect mailing lists relatively little. The subscribers who can post to a list are under the control of a list owner with nearly absolute gatekeeping powers. Web archives can be said to be available to subscribers only or on the open web and searchable. Subscribers, for their part, can set their subscription to a daily or other periodic digest of posts compiled in one message. They can set their subscription to no mail during busy periods, or just check the web archives occasionally if they are available. Subscribers are free to either move from list to list according to their evolving interests or to stay in communities sustained by mailing lists. 16.3.1 Working of mailing lists. A listserv or list-serving program in a server computer automatically maintains a subscriber list and distribution options set by the list owner in each subscriber. An email sent to the email address of the list is generally distributed to each subscriber who opted for individual messages or is placed in a queue for digest subscribers. Web archives of all messages can be generated if desired, often with options of viewing posted messages chronologically, topically, or alphabetically by author. Besides the owner, there can be other list administrators to screen memberships or messages. A moderated list means first that the owner selects certain controls over how to subscribe, who can subscribe, and whether attached files are transmitted or not. For example, subscribers may have to fill out a web form first to show legitimate intentions in terms of the purpose of the list. Moderation most often means controlling what content is allowed to be distributed by blocking messages considered irrelevant or offensive. Moderation criteria should be clarified in the welcome message to new subscribers along with the mission of the list. Moderation is particularly important where all messages are archived on the web and accessible to search engines. Messages with inappropriate content are best prevented before distribution, because in most cases the list owner cannot eliminate individual messages from the web archives at the server computer level. To moderate a list also means to mediate among subscribers and active posters to control the number, length, or other aspects of messages, to mitigate unpredictable quarrels by persuasion, or to maintain standards of conduct. In the case of academic mailing lists, the moderation could extend to maintaining scholarly rigor and collegiality. Moderation has become a topic of importance in books and websites because of the need for quality of communication in mailing lists serving a vast number of interests and disciplines. while the list owner has arbitrary powers and is generally safe from legal challenges, in order to satisfy list members that the process is fair. Sometimes list owners have negotiated their policies democratically with subscriber input. However, a list is generally most successful when moderation is least needed or remains invisible in the background. Distribution lists. However, not all mailing lists are set to an each-to-all mode for the purpose of discussion. A one-way distribution list with a few-to-all setting can still serve a community with a common interest, but with the focus on propagating information. Rarely distributed more than once a day, they tend to be edited and concise to maximize the information that an individual may wish to receive. Major newspapers such as the New York Times and Financial Times offer free distribution lists with headlines and links to stories at their main websites. Such distribution lists are also called mail magazines, and indeed the capabilities of email messages through HTML markup, links, photos and other embedded media approach the appearance of web pages. If there is a market for certain specialized information, such as investment advice that is perceived as economically valuable, people are sometimes willing to pay for distribution lists. At the same time, to serve the various needs of a community for both discussion and straight information, an organization can maintain any number of discussion lists as well as distribution lists. There are few technical restraints except that a virtual organization can become scattered as members belong to different communication channels that do not intersect. That is why the topics of mailing lists need to strike a balance between being too general and too specific. Lists may need to serve specialized needs of individual members while remaining general enough to maintain an active community. Moreover, people's interests change along with current events and technological progress. 16.3.2 Mailing lists for educational purposes. Educational mailing lists can and do run from the class level to the global level. A teacher, for example, may set up a mailing list with the campus email addresses of all the students in order to reach students quickly about assignments, announcements, class changes or cancellations. In a one-way transmission mode from the teacher, the mailing list format is merely for convenience, whereas mailing lists lend themselves readily to each-to-all discussions. With sharing among peers and group self-regulation, teacher can observe without intervening. Provided the mailing list is set to accept attachments, the list members can share multimedia files such as voice messages or videos. A university or other educational institution often finds it useful to set up many mailing lists on the institutional listserv. They can serve as routine communication channels for departments or other divisions of the institution, such as staff or administrators. Then finally there are the geographically or topically based mailing lists that extend beyond institutions, sometimes global in scope or relevance. Academic mailing lists may evolve from generalized topics to more specialized topics over time. However, there are fields such as distance education where a wide geographical distribution continues to provide mutual benefits to subscribers. 16.3.3 Examples of mailing lists for online education. Online education is one of those fields that, while gradually becoming more specialized in world regions and academic disciplines, can still bring together a global membership in mailing lists or virtual organizations. There is a widespread notion that mailing lists go through a life cycle of initial excitement, intense participation, then irritation at the overload of messages, leading to bickering, breakup or apathy. But while the psychology of novelty and other aspects of human nature are involved, the life cycle could easily become a stereotype, like believing that all travelers experience culture shock because certain stages are relatively common. Some mailing lists related to online education have been active since the 1990s. While subscribers cannot generally cope with dozens of messages a day, so the restraint of more considered messages is a welcome development. The Distance Education Online Symposium DUSL is one example of a long-standing and active mailing list. The -L in many mailing list addresses refers to listserv, which is a registered trademark of LSoft International, with subscription options and archives available for browsing. DUSL is moderated and academically oriented, with a combination of general discussions on distance education and announcements for conferences and publications. Based in the US, it tends to be weighted toward North American perspectives because of the composition of subscribers, but it has also welcomed international threads in keeping with its topic and the reach of online technologies. In the genre of free distribution lists, the OL Daily by Stephen Downes offers unconditional information about developments in online learning. Subscribers can receive a weekly digest or make comments at the website. With no commitment necessary and little direct interaction, the community is entirely implicit but nonetheless sustained through the technologies and sources recommended as they resonate with subscribers' needs and interests. Virtual organizations have relied upon mailing lists to keep members informed and interacting, so they may employ both discussion lists and distribution lists. Belonging to at least one of the lists is a minimum condition of membership in some virtual organizations to distinguish them from mere lists or websites. The World Association for Online Education, WAOE, has been held together since 1998 mostly by mailing lists, moving between server bases in universities and free web-based services such as Google Groups. However, belonging only to the WAOE general member discussion list has led some observers to believe that the list was the full extent of the organization. It was out of consideration for general members that organizational lists were separated from content lists focused on online education issues. Nevertheless, the discussion lists provide essential communication channels leading to deeper involvement in the organization, along with opportunities for professional collaboration among the global membership. 16.3.4 Recommendations to set up a mailing list. Having reviewed some of the uses of mailing lists, for education and e-learning in particular, you should not hesitate to set up new lists where the purposes of discussion, information dissemination, or community building may be served. Two widely used, free, and easily managed web-based mailing list services are Google Groups and Yahoo Groups. Many of you may already have an account such as web-based email with one or both of the providers and may choose whichever seems more convenient. One generally signs up to be a list owner at one of the above websites or at the corresponding site in one's own country or preferred language. Then it is a matter of choosing among the available settings, such as how open the list is in terms of membership and web archives, whether to moderate messages before release, then populating the list by generating direct invitation messages to email addresses from within the group administration interface, or by publicly inviting people to visit the home page of the list. Alternatively, mailing list software with web archiving capability, some of which is free and open source software, can be set up on one's own institutional server. For more details, see the Wikipedia entry on electronic mailing lists or A-lists. Even as successive technologies such as social networking or virtual worlds increasingly attract users to web-based venues, mailing lists remain useful to reach people directly and unforgettably through their email inbox. Mailing lists can complement other technologies where many choices are available, or serve as an essential communication channel in regions where online technology is most limited. 16.4 Discussion groups. Computer-mediated communication, CMC, is becoming more commonly utilized in the delivery of university curricula. There are different ways of incorporating CMC. One application that is being increasingly utilized is online discussion forum or group. As an application, the discussion group provides a limited and structured online environment for the provision, exchange and/or discussion of information between instructor and students, and/or between students. A defining feature of the asynchronous discussion forum as an application is that it allows for comments to be posted and viewed at a time of convenience to the student or instructor. In other words, there is no need to be connected at a specific same time. In order for educators and those utilizing a blended learning approach to achieve improved learning outcomes, it is imperative that teaching and learning strategies incorporating online discussion forums are pedagogically sound. As such, the increase in usage of online discussion forums in higher education has led to the associated need to increase our understanding of How to best incorporate such applications into teaching, Stodale, Thompson. Use of discussion forums within the delivery of a subject is as a means to provide information or direction to students on course content or administrative matters. Used in this way, the forum offers the student right of reply, often for confirmation of understanding, and, perhaps more significantly, presents a lasting record of the information and ensuing dialogue for other students and instructors involved in the subject. This can contribute to a sense of a shared learning space and process involving instructors and students, which can, in turn, lead to more open and productive communication around subject content and procedures. A more advanced and increasingly used application of the discussion forum within education is as an online environment for subject content discussion, akin to a tutorial. A relatively straightforward approach to this is for the instructor to set a question or topic, with students encouraged or required to respond to the content-related topic and have ongoing discussions with their peers on this topic. Johnson, 2006. This conception of the online discussion forum manifests in a question and answer format, with the instructor posing the question, students required or invited to provide an answer, and the instructor positioned to confirm, refute, or provide the right or model response. Used in this way, the nature of asynchronous online discussion forums, messages and postings can be viewed when convenient for participants, offers students the time to reflect on the topic or discussion, and thereby encourages a more in-depth, academic and constructive dialogue. Sandor, different from a face-to-face mode of delivery. Kelly, Ponton. Forums, furthermore, to be absent or offline for any significant length of time carries the risk of being viewed by course participants as unresponsive and uninterested, which, in turn, leads to participants' reduced usage or withdrawal from online aspects of a course. Not surprisingly, many instructors perceive online discussion forums to be highly time-demanding, with limited reward or recognition for effort. O'Quinn. Didactic in nature, positioning the instructor in a traditional educational role as the provider of knowledge. Light, 2007. Care. Central in the learning process. The student is situated as the content expert and facilitator on a specific topic at the center of the learning event, shifting the focus from the instructor to the student. The instructor has been repositioned as the overseer of dialogue, remaining abreast of the discussion. Should support and guidance be needed, the student becomes content expert by preparing and posting a primer or short essay, approximately 1,000 words, on a specific topic, e.g. choose a health behavior change model, and discuss its strengths and weaknesses in understanding and addressing a health issue of your choice, giving the student greater knowledge on the topic compared to his or her peers. All other members of the forum group provide academic comment on or build upon the primer that has been posted. As content expert, the student who posted the primer is also required to facilitate the discussion. 3 aspects of facilitation: content, leadership, and processes surrounding their particular topic, thereby relieving the instructor of this role. This framework has been developed and evaluated by Harris and Sandor, 2009, over the last 6 years across a number of postgraduate and undergraduate courses delivered in both blended and online modes to combined cohorts of between 25 to 80 students who generally have limited experience of online discussion forums. In these courses, the framework has been a central component and provided the basis for the majority of the assessment. Discussion forums run weekly, with students being assigned to write a primer on a set topic corresponding to course content. Students are then assessed on their primer, the facilitation, and their postings in all discussion forums. 70% of total assessment, 30% primer, 30% postings, 10% facilitation. To compress the discussion and keep the momentum within the dialogue, forums are only accessible for 2 weeks. Student feedback on the approach has been very supportive and highlighted the value of the approach for engagement with subject content and personal learning. Figure 16.1. Online discussion forum is a student-centered peer learning environment. Look at the screen. With respect to applying the model of asynchronous discussion forums as a student-centered peer learning environment, there are a few key learning to be considered. Assess forum participation, a significant portion of the subject marks accorded to forum participation increases the student interest in participation. All three components, primer, postings and facilitation, should be separately assessed. Participation is a requirement, not an option. Students are required to participate in each weekly forum with marks deducted for any forum missed by the student. Limit the length of time the forum is open, 1 to 2 weeks. This compresses the dialogue and promotes greater and more coherent interaction between students. If you are running a series of forums across the semester, this strategy will require students to engage with subject material on a weekly basis. Limit participant numbers in a discussion group. Too few and too many participants in a forum becomes counterproductive. Ideally between 10 and 25 participants in a group. Many less than 10 participants in there is not sufficient numbers to sustain a discussion. More than 25 in the forum becomes too busy with those who are less confident of their standing in the group fading out of the discussion, and set topics and assign students. The forums must have an established set topic that is directly linked with the subject being studied, ideally supported with resources such as a lecture, topic notes, references, and web links. Students must be assigned to topics, primer and facilitation. Role, early in semester. 16.5 RSS feed. RSS stands for Rich Site Summary, a real simple syndication. It is a type of XML document used to share news headlines and other web pages. Any web page with an RSS feed enables the user to track updates on that specific page in an automated manner through a single subscription, and without having to visit the page from time to time. Because the data is in XML and not a display language like HTML, RSS information can be flowed into a large number of devices. In addition to being used to create news summary web pages, RSS can be fed into standalone news browser or headline readers, PDAs, cell phones, email ticklers and even voice updates. Downs, 2002. A single RSS file is called a channel. It consists of two major sets of elements. Channel properties, the name of the channel, the URL and an image for the channel, and item properties, separate items listed in the channel with specific title and link. Example: